love you, Lord. Oh, your mercy never fails me. All my days I've been held in your hand. From the moment that I wake up until I lay my head, I will sing of the goodness of God. All my life you have been faithful. All my life you have been so good. With every breath that I am able, I will sing of the goodness of God. I love your voice. You have led me through the fire. In darkest night, you are close like no other. I will sing of the goodness of God. All my life you have been faithful. All my life you have been so good. With every breath that I am able, I will sing of the goodness of God. I love your voice. I know you as a father. I know you as a friend. And I have lived in the goodness of God. Oh, this is my story. All my life you have been faithful. This is my song. All my life you have been so, so good. Every breath that I am able, I will sing of the goodness of God. 'Cause your goodness is running after, it's running after me. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. With my life laid down, surrendered now, I give you everything. Your goodness is running, it keeps running after me. All my days, Jesus. All my life you have been faithful. All my life you have been so, so good. With every breath that I am able, I will sing of the goodness of God. The Lord our God is ever faithful. He's never changing through the ages. From this darkness, you will lead us, and forever we will say, you're the Lord our God. The Lord our God is, He's faithful and never changing. Goes before me, I know who stands behind me. The God who fills your armies is always by my side. The one who reigns forever, he is a friend of mine. The God of angel armies is always by my side. Goes before me, you're by our side. You've never left. We thank you, Jesus. We trust you, God. God, I look to you. I won't be things like God, you wear my heart control. Give me wisdom. You know just what to do. I love you, Lord. I love you, Lord. Mercy. And I love you, Lord. Forever all my days. With everything inside of me, yeah, I raise a hallelujah, and I will watch the darkness flee. I raise a hallelujah in the middle of the mystery, yeah, I raise a hallelujah. I'm gonna sing. You're gonna hear my the ashes, hope will arise. Death is defeated, the King is alive. Oh, I'm gonna stand in the middle of the storm. Louder and louder, you're gonna hear my praises roar. From the ashes, hope will arise. Death is defeated, the King is alive. Even when I don't see no even when I was feeling your even when I was seeing your you're working, you're working. Yes, God, you're always working. Come on. Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. You're working, even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop working. You never stop, you never stop. Press it out. Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop working. You never stop, you never stop working. The one who set me free, hallelujah. Death has lost its grip on me. You have broken every chain. There is salvation in your name, Jesus Christ, my living hope. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Praise the one who set me free. Death has lost its grip on me. You have broken every chain. There's salvation in your name, Jesus Christ, my living hope. Jesus Christ, my living hope.
Well, good afternoon, everyone, our BBC family, BBC Worldwide. Good afternoon. Hey, Facebook. Good to see you, YouTube. Hello, everyone on Instagram. What's up, Twitter family? And good to see all of you as well from our One Place family as well. I just want to welcome you guys on today. It is our prayer that you all are keeping yourself safe in whatever state or country you are listening to us from. It is a beautiful day here in Birmingham, Alabama. It's a little chilly because, in the South, we're not used to this chilly weather, but all is well. And we pray that you are just having a great day just wherever you are. And so it is 12 noon. Of course, you have decided to join here on the day. Of course, you like this time to help you be able. It's giving you the victory over your finances, over your health, over your bodies, your minds, just over everything. And so, of course, during this time, we like to say we want to bring you information to empower you, to encourage you, and to help you walk in that victory. And so we have some great information on today. So do us a favor. Please tag 3 people. Please text 5 people, the 5 people you just talked to last time that you just text. Tell them about this broadcast on today. Make sure you share it on your pages because y'all, this is going to be a good one. I'm telling you, you don't want to miss it. You want to share it. So listen, join in on the discussion. We're going to be discussing some things about relationships on today. You can comment in the comment section if you have questions. Of course, we'll get them addressed as soon as we can. But the theme for Birmingham Bible Church this year is 2022, the year of new beginnings. And so we've been having a great time all this month talking about new things and having new things in our lives. And earlier this month, we talked about having a new mindset. Dr. Chan helped us with that. Dr. Cook talked about having a new body. Last week, we talked about getting our credit straight. And so today is another great topic. We're talking about new relationships. And I don't know, I'm on Instagram every now and then, but I've noticed that people are really, really giving advice on relationships. It just seemed like it's just inundated with tips for those who are single or married, I guess with families. And so I was thinking about that at the end of 2021. And I don't know if y'all do self-reflect, and I self-reflect just about the whole year. And one thing I was thinking about was relationships. The relationships that worked, the relationship that didn't work. And so I thought it would be just great. Pastor and I was, putting our heads together. Of course, nobody else can talk about this topic, we think, other than Steve Thurston out of Chicago. He's our good friend. He is an author. He's a speaker. He has his mirror moment that he does on Facebook Live. And so we are excited to have Steve on today just to help us talk about the aspect of relationships. And so I introduce to you all Steve Thurston. Hello, Steve. How are you?
I'm great, Pam. Good to see you. And thank you for having me back one more again. I just might as well join the staff.
I know.
Bible.
You need to join the staff. I tell you, no, but Steve, this is such and I don't know, are you finding that more people are trying to find out about relationships and they're talking about it, or?
Yeah, it's always a hot topic. It's always something happening in the realm of relationships, and people are either sharing their trauma or trying to avoid the trauma. And so people are inundating Instagram and Facebook and whatever other platform they can find to give us insight in their lens. So hopefully today we can help people as we're kicking off this new year. And people always talk about new year, new me. So we really want it to be a new you. And new you doesn't mean just cutting off everybody, but there need to be some parameters around how we structure and frame our relationships. So yeah, let's dive into it, Lady Pam, whenever you're ready.
Yes, sir. I'm ready. I got my notebook. I'm ready to take notes.
Cool. Well, I want to focus our attention today on safe people. We recognize that we have a need as human beings for friendship and connection. And it's a God ordained need that He built into each and every one of us. Here's the thing, without maturity and the right skill set, our need for attachment can get us into some real trouble. And I'm sure somebody is tuned in right now who can say, amen, ouch, type that in the comment section. You talking about me. Your lack of maturity and not having the necessary skill sets has gotten you into some real trouble in your relationships. When you consider connecting with people, the question that we have to raise today is, what do you look for? I'm not just talking about your boo, your mate, but your girlfriend, your guy friends, just people who are in your life in relationship. What are we considering before we connect? Often our answers have nothing to do. They have nothing to do with what we look for in people from a proper perspective. Often our answers have no consideration for the aspect of character. Many individuals suffer from the lack of character discernment. That's the ability to effectively evaluate who is good for you and who isn't. I'll say it again. Many individuals suffer from the lack of character discernment, the ability to effectively evaluate who is good for you and who isn't. You see, the crazy thing is that God will even show us, Lady Pam, the red flags, and we so crazy that we act like we're at a carnival and we run towards the red flags instead of recognizing we're in relationship and run from the red flags. And so I want to challenge us today and caution others of us today. When you see the red flags, pay attention. Some of us got too much hope and too much faith in people that we really should have hope and faith in. The red flags are there for a reason, and they're brought to our attention for a reason, and we got to pay attention to that. And so you said, well, Stephen, who are the safe people and what do they look like? Great question. Glad you asked. Safe people are individuals who draw us closer to being the people that God intended for us to be. The net effect of their presence in our lives is going to be positive. Even though that person isn't perfect, them being in our lives is going to have a positive effect upon our lives. When we're with safe people, when we're with the right people in relationship, we grow from the relationship. They help us to be better versions of ourselves. They help develop what God has already placed on the inside of us. Safe people are honest people. They're accepting people. They're present people. And they help us to bear good fruit in our lives. So many times we name and claim people as being our friends. That's my homie. That's my ace boom coon, whatever terminology, my BFF. But here's the question that we really have to wrestle with when we label these people in our lives as such. Who's in your life that will tell you no or stop? That's really how you determine who a real friend is. Because if your friend circle or your intimate partner agrees with everything that you say and everything that you do, then they really aren't your friend. Real friends tell you stop. Real friends tell you you're going too far. Real friends say that you've crossed the boundaries, that you need to check yourself, that you need to take a look in the mirror, that you were wrong, that you were out of order. They don't just praise you and celebrate you and lift your name on high. No, they call you out for your stuff. Those are safe people in our lives. And unfortunately, we often pick the wrong people to trust. We connect with those who will abandon us, ultimately neglect us, damage us, and at the end of the day, they end up tearing us down. And our blindness to who's good for us and who isn't causes tragedies to happen in our life. Some of the depression that we experience, some of the compulsive behaviors, some of the marriage conflicts and the work problems, they're a result of our blindness to who's good for us and who isn't. And the sad truth is that many of us are better at picking out the right outfit or the right car than we are at picking out the right friendships and relationships. And guess what? We got to do better. We've got to do better at being aware of who's safe and who is unsafe in our lives. We also need to make sure that we become safe people for other people. because this ain't just about them. This is about us too. Most importantly, it's about us. We're always looking outward at other people and what they do, how they need to change, grow, and develop. I want you to have a mirror moment. Take some time for introspection and make sure that you're a safe person for the people that you're in relationship with. And we can ensure that we're safe people by becoming aware of our blind spots and our vulnerabilities. When we're aware of our stuff and our junk and our issues, and then we begin to work on that, it helps to create a boundary so that we don't cross over into relationships with other people that are just as jacked up as us. I'm gonna talk about that in a second. Let me not get ahead of myself. So the question that's probably crossing your mind right now is, Stephen, who are the bad guys? Who are the unsafe people? Well, listen, we don't get a lot of training on evaluating character. So we often end up choosing people to be in relationship with based on outward appearance, and then we experience the inside of them. Yeah, we see the outward, we see what they look like, what they drive, how they live, how they present themselves. And then we decide, hey, I'm connecting with that. And then after a moment of time, you begin to experience the inside of them. And the inside end up not looking nothing like what the presentation is on the outside. Yeah, we look at the success and the charm and the looks and the humor and the status, the tax bracket that they're in, the zip code they live in, the make and the model of the car, what brands they adorn their body in, their educational level, their accomplishments. We look at all of that stuff. And what ends up happening, Lady Pam, is that we meet that person's representative. And we don't end up spending enough time digging beneath the surface of the person. And as a result, we end up empty-handed in the relationship. Quite often, unsafe people will appear winsome, they'll appear promising, and their character problems can be very subtle. Yep, and it's true that some people are actually masters of disguise. They can shield it, they can hide it, they can conceal it. Some of y'all are married to people like that. You walked down the aisle, you dated for several years, you went on the honeymoon, and it wasn't until about a year or so, 2 years into that marriage, and you're like, who the hell is this that I married? All of their real self finally came up and came out. And if you knew now what you knew then, if you knew then what you know now, rather, that there would not have been a marriage. Your last name would not have changed. You wouldn't have had a baby with that person. People are masters of disguise. And even if you've got discernment, you can be fire baptized and full of the Holy Ghost and have discernment. There's some people that can still hide and conceal some stuff. You won't be able to easily notice their issues. So Stephen, what do I do if I'm in that kind of situation? Or what do I look out for so I don't find myself in that situation? Well, while there are many different kinds of unsafe people, many of them actually fall into 3 categories. Let me give them to you. Number 1, we've got abandoners. These are people who can start a relationship, but can't finish a relationship. You ever notice people with a revolving door of friends? Their inner circle swaps out every couple of years. Oftentimes there's some narcissistic personality disorder that's built into that. That's another session for another time, but just dropping that out there for your consideration. You recall when y'all connected, you became fast friends, you were inseparable. Then all of a sudden, like kind of without reason, the relationship fizzled out and then they ghosted you. Yeah, they began with statements about commitment and companionship, but then they leave us when we actually need them the most. Now, let me caution you. Before you get too bent out of shape over situations like this, because some of y'all are having flashbacks right now, I need you to recognize that what we experience from people like this, and people in general, what we experience from people in relationship, oftentimes has more to do with their internal stuff than with us. So I don't need you beating yourself up, bashing yourself, downgrading yourself, thinking that something's wrong with you. More than likely, it's something wrong with them that they need to fix on the inside of them rather than it being an issue with you. Or it could be This is another option for you to consider. There's something about you or me that triggered that person based upon something that they experienced in their past, and that allowed them to make their quick exit from the relationship. It fizzled out. Again, has nothing to do with you. You just being you and doing you. But because they have not unpacked and dealt with the baggage of their past, we now find them in the space of being labeled as abandoners. They've often even been abandoned themselves. And so they're repeating the cycle in relationships. These types of people can be afraid of true closeness, and they prefer actually shallow acquaintances, though they don't say that. And though the language that they bring to the table at the onset of relationship says something totally different, they really like shallow acquaintances. They can have issue with being vulnerable. So these people will often run. They'll flee from the scene as soon as the relationship starts getting too serious. It's really how they avoid getting hurt. And some people who are abandoners, they're really looking for perfect friends and perfect people. And once you show your cracks, once you show that you're a human being, that's when they want to make their exit, as if they're perfect. But again, it's not about you. They're trying to fix something from their past and not being honest about the transference that they're engaged in. Abandoners, they destroy trust, and they can cause us to become leery about engaging in new relationships. So the first type of unsafe person that I want to highlight for us today are abandoners. You need to label these people in your phone. Go in there, hit that edit button in your contact list. And if they're an abandoner, change their name from Pam or John or Jane to abandoner. So when they call you, you already know what you're getting into. The second type of unsafe person that we often allow into our lives are critics. Critics are people who take a parental role with everybody that they know. They're judgmental, they speak the truth without love, and they have no room for grace or forgiveness. You already know who I'm talking about in your friend circle. That's right. Pull out the phone, go to the contact list, delete the name, and just put critic in. These people are legalistic. They're rigid, they're critical, and they probably go to your church. They're critics. They're more concerned with confronting errors than they are with making connections. And in case this is you, in case you're the critic, because again, we're doing introspection today, we're not going to just point the finger outward. We're going to look on the inside of us. In case this is you, please recognize that people are more likely to accept your critique and your criticism of them when they know your heart and there's a real relationship there. There's some depth to the relationship. That makes it easier for them. So until you have that, be quiet with all of that critique and that judgment. These people who are critics, they tend to point the finger outside, again, rather than inside at themselves. There's never any introspection done by these people. They never ask, what role did I play in the situation? They develop this love of truth and righteousness, but their truth often comes poisoned with judgmentalism. Critics are prone to doing what God hasn't even done, and that's to judge. So if you're a critic, you need to calm down. That's the second type of unsafe person that many of us have allowed into our life. Third type are the irresponsibles. The irresponsibles. Yep, I'm talking about your kids. I'm talking about your grandkids. I'm talking about that relative that only pops up at Christmas or Thanksgiving with a handout with a sob story. You know by now from past experiences that you ain't giving them a loan. That's a gift because you ain't gonna ever get it back. Yep, those are the irresponsibles. The ones that don't care of themselves, they don't take care of themselves or other people. They always broke, always struggling, always got a situation, always got a story. They're always in crisis mode. They have a problem for every solution. And they have a problem with delaying gratification. They don't have no thought about tomorrow in anything that they do. It's always about what I need immediately right now, what's going to get my fix right now, and then I'll come back and beg and scuffle and struggle for tomorrow. Crazy part about these individuals is that they don't consider the consequences of their actions, not only for them, but for the other people that they're in relationship with. And then when they make a concession for people's feelings, they don't even follow through on their commitment. I mean, you've seen this, maybe you've experienced, but I've set people up for job interviews. I use my connections, made a phone call, set it up, paved the way for them. All they had to do was go in and go through the motions of the interview. And then these fools don't even show up for the interview and then don't call nobody. And so I got to hear from my contact, hey, your person never showed up. I don't know what's happening, but don't send me nobody else. Now, my name and my reputation is messed up because they're irresponsible. But here's what keeps us coming back to engaging with these types of people. They're often emphatic people and they're understanding people. Yeah, they really kind of cool. They're caring people. They're fun-loving people. And so we continue doing for them, knowing that we really should know better, but we keep on doing it for them because it's just something about them that draws us back in every time they come around. Listen, we got to be clear that in spite of all of that good feeling that they give us, they're unsafe people. And if you depend on irresponsible people to do what they say, you're going to end up in financial ruin, functional ruin, and emotional ruin. You cannot trust these irresponsibles. So, all right, Stephen, you've given us some categories, 3 categories of unsafe people. So, Stephen, you still haven't told us what safe people look like. Gotcha. That's where I'm going. You're reading my mind. Listen, a safe relationship is one that does 3 things. Y'all ready? You got your pen and your paper ready? Number 1, a safe relationship draws us closer to God. Number 2, it draws us closer to other people. Number 3, it helps us become the real person that God has created us to be. The best example of a safe person is actually found in Christ, because it's in him that we actually find these 3 qualities of a safe person. That there's dwelling with Christ, and there ought to be dwelling with the people that we engage in relationship. And you're saying, Stephen, what does dwelling mean? Well, dwelling refers to someone's ability to connect with us. In the Greek, it means to encamp or to reside. Safe relationships are an aspect of the incarnational qualities of Christ. They're able to connect with us in a way that we know that they are present with us. You ever been in a relationship with somebody, but it feels like you're still single? You're married and you're parenting children together, but it feels like you're a single parent. Now, when it's a safe relationship, you feel the presence of the other person. The second aspect beyond dwelling is grace. This is how you know you're in a safe relationship, when there's grace. Grace is nothing more than unmerited favor. It's unearned favor. It means that someone is on our side, that they're for us. Grace implies unconditional love and acceptance with no condemnation. Yeah, we're going to be in relationship with people. Stuff is going to go left sometimes. There's going to be arguments. There's going to be conflict, tension, disagreement. But at the end of the day, you still know that that person is there for me, and they're fighting not for themselves, but for us. They accept my flaws and my issues, just as I accept their flaws and their issues. And I'm not condemning them and bringing stuff up over them and holding it against them over and over and over again after they've apologized and tried to right the wrong and move in another direction, not still bringing the stuff up. There's grace. The same level of grace that you want extended to you is the same level of grace that you're extending to the other person. That's a sign of a safe person in a safe relationship. Final piece is truth. And truth implies honesty, being real with one another and living out the truth of God in the relationship and in your life. Listen, communication is like oxygen. If we don't have oxygen, we'll suffocate and die. And if we don't have communication relationship, likewise, the relationship will suffocate and die. We've got to have all of these pieces wrapped up together. And in that communication, there has to be truth telling, honesty, where we can shoot straight with the person, give them what they need, and then let them decide what they're going to do with the information that we've provided them. Lady Pam, I've given us some insight into safe people, what unsafe people look like, what safe people look like. It's my prayer, it's my hope, it's my desire that we take the nuggets that I dropped on us today and literally apply them to our lives so that we can reevaluate, reassess, and in some instances, readjust who it is that we're connecting to in terms of the people in our lives.
Man, this was so good, Steve. Listen, yes, you gave us a lot of nuggets. I had a couple of questions. So, and you talked about your last point was really communicating and telling people the truth. And so, how do you effectively communicate to someone or who's unsafe? They're unsafe. Maybe other people around them may know they're unsafe, but how do you effectively communicate that to them without coming across, judgmental?
Sure, that's a great question, Pam. You have to still be honest with them. Because you have relationship, you know what medium of communication is most effective. Sometimes it requires you writing a letter or writing an email rather than having that face-to-face conversation and confrontation that can turn into a point of combat. There are multiple vehicles by which we can communicate that. And so you've got to engage in your discernment for how to tell them the truth. And you have to tell them the truth, because if the truth isn't told, you're just going to suppress and repress your emotions and your feelings, and it's going to build up. And at some point, you're going to be shaken and stirred, and it's going to blow up and erupt. And so at some point, you've got to communicate. And if that person is an emotionally healthy person who wants to see the relationship prosper and grow, they're going to accept the truth that you've given them and maybe even ask you for your help in developing and growing and making the needed and necessary changes. And if they're unwilling to do that, that's a red flag. And remember, we ain't at a carnival, so red flags are not attractive outside of carnivals. You need to take that sign and symbol as an exit ramp from that relationship.
And I forgot, I need to put a disclaimer on all this. So married folk, this is a little different. You can't just exit right now. You can't do that. So you can't exit. All right. So we got to make this thing work. But yeah, you talked about red flags, and I know red flags are different from everyone, but from your experience or people you have talked to, what are some everyday red flags to look for those who are dating, as for someone who's unsafe? Like, think about people like my daughter, which, by the way, she listens to you on your mirror moment. She says, Steve is so crazy. Those are her exact words. But what are those red flags looking like typically?
Yeah, great question. And tell her thank you for the compliment. When people say I'm crazy, that means I'm giving it real, raw, and relevant. So I appreciate that. Some things that we need to pay attention to is the person's ability to communicate, the person's ability to the person's ability to admit that they're wrong and own their errors, be authentically them, not the presentation, not the facade, but just, hey, this is me in my truest state. I'm naked and I'm raw. If they're unwilling to do that, you might want to pay attention. Secretive and hiding and not giving out the needed information that you're asking, and unwilling to let you go beneath the surface and really get to know them. What you hiding, sir, ma'am? Like, what's up with you? Those are some critical pieces from the jump that you really need to pay attention to. Consistency, it matters. How are they presenting themselves on a consistent way? Because a person cannot consistently behave in a way that's inconsistent with who and what they really are.
Yeah, no, this is good. And then, Steve, I'm thinking, we have children. We may have people that are watching that have children as well. And as a parent, how can we make sure that we are raising emotionally safe children? And I say that because I know a lot of people that we know on a personal basis, they suffer from a lot of childhood trauma.
Yeah.
And so when you're a person raised like that, then you become an adult with trauma, and now you're an unsafe person to be in a relationship with other people. So how can we, as parents, just make sure our children are emotionally safe so that they can be emotionally safe adults?
That's a great question, Pam. Thank you. This is a critical issue because when we do the root cause analysis on many of the problems that individuals face, as you stated, it kind of tracks back to childhood. There's a great book I want to recommend that everybody pick up. It's entitled When the Past is Present.
Mm.
When the Past is Present. It deals with transference. And once you read that book, you're going to uncover a bunch of stuff about yourself. I want to then recommend that you get a therapist. I think all of us, especially in communities of color, we need to get rid of the misnomers and the prejudices against mental health and engage with therapy. We all need some therapy. You don't go to a therapist because you're crazy. You go to a therapist to keep from becoming crazy. And then parents creating that safe space where literally everything can be talked about, where children can be free to express their emotions. A child is going to get pissed off with the parent. You're going to get upset with your parent, just like you got upset with your parents when you were children. But you were probably told, you can't say that to me. You can't express that to me. Why not? Why can't I express the full body of my emotions and us talk about it and discuss it? Because just because you my mom and my daddy don't make you right 100% of the time. You got your stuff and you got your issues, and sometimes you dump on your kids. Sometimes you hold them accountable for stuff that they really shouldn't be held accountable. Somebody got on your nose at work. Somebody cut you off on your way home to the house. The money ain't right. You ain't getting no sex for the past 3 weeks. And so you just pissed off and you're dumping it on the kids. Create a safe environment where everybody can share the full body of their feelings and their emotions, and they can be talked through. And then stop acting as an adult like you ain't got no issues, like you perfect. Share your stories, share your experiences, share where you've messed up in life. Let's be transparent. And that creates a safe space where our children are free to share with us, to engage with us, to learn from our mistakes and our failures. And maybe you won't find that your kid left you a suicide note. Yeah, because that's real too. And it has a lot to do with the environments that we create that are closed off, where children don't feel that they can properly communicate the full body of their experiences with their parents, with their guardians, with the adults in their lives that should be mentoring them, shepherding them, and leading them to a fruitful, healthy, sustainable adulthood.
Amen. No, this is good. Once again, the name of that book was When the Past is Present. When
The
the Past
past is
is Present.
present.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, good. And let me ask you, I guess this is my final question. I'm trying to check also to see if anyone else has any questions that are out there. Um,
Sure.
but what about, should you establish boundaries with the person who is unsafe, and come at it from different levels of relationships, for the, parent child, I guess adult child, or the person who's dating, or the person who's married, or even work relationships? Should you establish boundaries? We hear that a lot, but it's easier said than done. Should you do that, and kind of what does that look like?
Yep, I definitely agree. I scrapped Boundaries, another great book or series of books, Boundaries. Henry Cloud and John Townsend are the authors of that series of books. They've got boundaries, and then they've got boundaries for kids, boundaries for work, boundaries for marriage. They got a whole series of them. Get all of them. They're all good. They're all helpful. They're all practical. And you can read the book and immediately apply those principles to your life. People need to know what they're responsible for and what the other person is responsible for. We've got boundaries in every area of our life. When we're driving, that center lane, that's a boundary that tells us not to cross over into somebody else's space. If you got property, you've got property lines that communicate the boundary, what you're responsible for, what your neighbor is responsible for. So in marriage, in dating, with parental and children relationships, every context, we have to establish what our boundaries are and then effectively communicate that to the other person. Stop thinking that the other person is a mind reader. They're not. There's a difference between an expectation and a wish. A wish is when it just stays in your head. An expectation is when it moves from your head to your mouth, it goes into their ear and then into their head, and they're able to then communicate back to you what you said, and now you two agree upon it. At that point, it becomes an expectation. If that whole process doesn't happen, it's just a wish, and you can't get mad at them for not doing what you wish they had known to do. You have to set the expectation of the boundaries in your life.
Wow. Well, with this, my last question. Are you going to go back to school for your PhD in counseling to be a therapist? This
You are not the first person to ask me that. We'll see what the Lord does in my life.
Okay, all right, okay. No, you would be really great. Thank you for those additional reads that I'm definitely going to get some of those books. I know Pastor is, but this was great. Thank you so much, Steve. You have really helped us making sure that we are emotionally safe, because that's also where it starts.
Yes.
And also making sure that we are in relationships with people who are emotionally safe for us, creating those boundaries, communicating, all that was just awesome. That was good information. Steve, we're going to, and people are chiming in. A lot of people are watching, so I know you have helped not only myself, not only Birmingham Bible Church, but a lot of our visitors who are watching as well.
Awesome.
So thank you so much for that. So a couple of things, I'm just going to run through a few church announcements, and then Steve, when you come back, I would like for you to just close off with any remarks,
Okay.
even how people can connect with you, everything you have going on, either Facebook Live or Instagram, the books that you have. So if you can also give that in the end, and also how people can contact you. I'm pretty sure somebody wants to contact you about something you said and may need some counseling, some
Yes,
some
ma'am.
author books counseling. All right, we'll go through it real quick.
Okay.
All right. Well, thank you for everyone for joining us here on today. Of course, as we've already said, our theme for this year, for the year 2022, is the year of new beginnings. So we're believing God is going to create some new things in your life, and new relationships, and new ways of how you do relationships. So we're believing that for you on today. Our brand new series, our sermon series, is going to conclude this Sunday. So make sure you watch us at 11 o'clock a.m. We are on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitter, and on Instagram, and through the My Sunday app as well. We are also on One Place. Pastor Mason has all of his messages archived. Simply go to oneplace.com, do a search for Dr. James H. Mason III, and you can see all of his messages that he has been teaching. It has really been blessing and impacting people. We've gotten a lot of emails just saying how the word has really touched them. So make sure you do that. Also, we have podcasts available through One Place. So if you're on Spotify, I believe iTunes is another one. There's about four to six of them. So you can also listen on the go to Pastor as well. Our prayer room call is every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 6 a.m. That number is 727-731-0433. Please make sure you join us all of those days. Listen, we need God more now like we have never. I mean, if we didn't need him before, we really, really, really need him now, because a lot of things are going on. We got Omicron. A lot of variants are out there. And so listen, we need to all be united and joined in prayer on a regular basis. And then in the scriptures with Pastor Mason, we are studying through the book of James. Please join us every Tuesday at 11 o'clock a.m. As we are studying the scriptures. We're in the book of James, so please join us. Please, ma'am, and please, sir, for that. And then, of course, you have just listened to Steve Thurston, author and pastor, speaker, motivator, encourager. And he has done a great job, awesome job in talking to us about relationships. If you want to hear any of the previous Winning Wednesdays, please go back and look at them, especially on our YouTube and our Facebook pages. And then our small groups will meet this Saturday at 10 a.m. We meet via Zoom. It is a private page. If you desire to have that Zoom ID information, please email us at smallgroups@bhambc.org. Also, the curriculum we've been going over is transform. So being in line with the theme for this year, brand new, we want God to transform us in different areas of our lives. So once again, we meet Saturday, 10 a.m. via Zoom. Please email us at smallgroups@bhambc.org to register. Our book of the month is Circle Maker by Mark Batterson. We are believing God and been circling our prayers. And so please join us as we continue to circle our prayers, as you circle your prayers, so that things can be really done. And this guy has great testimony of how he has done that. So of course, that is our book of the month. We stream on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitter, and on Instagram, and on the My Sunday app. So how do you get to the My Sunday app? Well, go to your app store, download My Sunday, which is one word, and then locate Birmingham Bible Church. You will see all of our event flyers. You get also notifications periodically, and so you can do that as well. To receive text messages on a regular basis, we let y'all know what's going on. Please pull out your phone and text BBCWW to 94253. Text BBCWW to 94253. We also have a business directory on our website, free of charge. Go to bhambc.org, scroll to the bottom, click on business directory, key in your information. It is free of charge. This, of course, you're not only on our website, but also you're part of an over 50,000 plus Christian database. So it is a great way to market your business. And then on February the 26th, we're going to have our Black History Tour with Pastor Mason and myself. Of course, if you are interested, the deadline is February the 18th at 5 p.m. But please send us an email to bbctravel@bhambc.org. That's bbctravel@bhambc.org. You will be responsible for your own transportation. We want to make sure everybody is safe, but we're going to have a great time. So please make sure you email us if you are interested in going on that trip. And then thank you everyone for how you support the ministry, how you share, how you sow into the ministry. And there are various ways that you can sow into the ministry. We have, you can either do it through an app, which is called Givelify. Simply go to your app store, download Givelify, locate Birmingham Bible Church. You can give that way. You can also mail your tithes and contributions into our P.O. Box, which is 360321, Birmingham, Alabama, 35236. You can also give via text, which is 205-289-1938. Again, that's 205-289-1938. You put a $sign in the box the amount you want to give. If it's your first time doing it, simply fill out a registration form. But then from that point on, it's just $sign and the amount you want to give. And we also have Cash App, which is BHAM BC. So that's $sign BHAM BC. Your gifts go toward these 12 beautiful sponsored Compassion International children. So thank you so much for doing that. That is one of our missions that we give to on a monthly basis. It goes toward their food, their medical supplies, their physical needs, their emotional needs. So we are so happy to be a part of that. And also your gifts go toward Our Land, Our Future. And we are coming up to the 5th Sunday. And so we're asking those who can to sacrificially give towards Our Land, Our Future. So of course, that is all we have for today. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you for joining and watching us on today. We're gonna let Steve finalize it and end us and give us some words of encouragement to all those who are watching out there, some things that we, so just some takeaways.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Late Pam, again. Birmingham Bible, always a pleasure to connect with this amazing ministry that's really changing the landscape of the lives of people, not just spiritually, but y'all do holistic ministry. And that's why I'm proud to be connected to the work that you're doing. Safe people are critical and crucial to your success. Don't let another year go by with you being drugged through the rungs of life because of the crazy people that are surrounding you. They ain't going nowhere, and they ain't trying to let you go nowhere. And so they keep pulling you back to where they are to keep a tight rein on you. Loose them and let them go. All right. Get with some safe people in your life, in your work relationships, in your dating relationships, in your platonic relationships. Get safe in your family. Some family members, they ain't safe. And you just got to say, that was the last Christmas. That was the last Thanksgiving. You can't come over to my house no more. You just got to shut the door and create the boundaries, because you're trying to go somewhere and you don't need your environment tainted. There has to be a climate change. And there's work that you have to do to ensure that the climate is changed, and make sure that you're a safe person for other people who have invited you into their lives for relationship. If you want to follow me and get connected with what I'm doing, you can always go to my website, Stephen with the PH, StephenJThurston.com. I've got books there. I've got ebooks there. I've got all kind of stuff. Tuesdays at 3 p.m. Central Standard Time on my Facebook page, Stephen Thurston. I do mirror moments where we get sessions just like you got today, with the ultimate goal of helping individuals to change what's within so that they can change what's around. My two areas of focus are leadership and relationship. And Lady Pam, we've got something special coming up at the end of October. It's called the Mirror Moment Meetup in Morocco. I'm moving to Morocco, and so I want to get people to come and hang out in Morocco. And so from time to time before the pandemic, I would do mirror moment meetups where we would take it from the Facebook Live to meeting in a space, and we would get a small group of people together and go through these sessions of training and learning and developing friendship. Well, we hadn't done one in a while. People said they wanted to do it. So I said, well, how about y'all meet me in Morocco so I can introduce you to what's happening over there? We can have a good time. All of that information is on my Facebook page. The link is there. End of October. It's going to be an amazing week. We're going to have fun. We're going to have mirror moments in the evenings around the fire pit, around the pool. It's going to be real grown and sexy. And so if you want to get in on the trip, it's limited space. And I got payment plans. I know I'm dealing with Black people. So we got the payment plan for you. Layaway.
We got to put something on it. I get it.
Put something on it. And so all of that's available on my page. Go there, click on that link. And I hope to see you in Morocco in October.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you so much, Steve. Awesome. Well, guys, that is it for today. Thank you for joining us. You've been here with myself and Stephen J. Thurston, talking about safe relationships, being safe, making sure we are emotionally safe, and making sure we're in relationships with people who are emotionally safe. So thank you. It is our desire that you have been inspired, you have been encouraged, you have been edified, you have been charged up, that you're fired up and ready to go. So thank you for joining us. We will see you guys next Wednesday right here. Make sure you follow Stephen J. Thurston. Make sure you watch him next Tuesday at 3:00 p.m. Central Standard Time.
That's it. Yes.
That's it. Yes, on his live mirror moment. So thank you so much, guys. Have a great and awesome day. And thank you, Steve, for joining us today.
Thank you. I had a blast.